I wish I could say I was surprised the day I found three grown adults all decked out in freshly ironed polo shirts and just enough self-importance to power a small city sinking waist-deep in what amounted to a cow-crap jacuzzi on my property. But in Oklahoma, and especially when the HOA comes sniffing around, you learn pretty quick that common sense isn't all that common, and karma's got a mean right hook. I'll tell you how it happened, straight through. No breaks, no big Hollywood cutaways, just the way it felt living through it. Picture a stretch of prairie, tall grass waving in the dry breeze, and one very stubborn rancher me trying to mind his own business. And then imagine just over the ridge a shiny new subdivision popping up like a plastic weed full of folks who think property lines are more of a polite suggestion than a legal fact. The trouble started with a letter. Fancy gold lettering, little tree logo, official sounding nonsense. Golden Heights. Homeowners Association, your participation matters. Participation. I almost spit out my coffee laughing. My family's been here since before their development was a gleam in some investor's eye, before electricity hell, before proper roads. I figured it was a clerical mix-up, or maybe a neighborly invite gone overboard, so I tossed it in the file marked, "Not my problem," and went about my day. Then came the second letter, this one certified with a bill for $540 in perimeter maintenance dues. Let me tell you, nobody maintains my perimeter except me, my dogs, and a John Deere brush cutter that's got more scars than I do. I started a new folder in the cabinet, HOA Idiocy. I wasn't worried yet. But I ordered more no trespassing signs and a few extra cameras just in case. By the third letter, which claimed my fence violated their aesthetic guidelines and demanded I submit plans to their architectural committee, I realized these folks weren't just confused, they were setting up for a land grab. They even circled my fence in red on a drone photo as if they'd caught me mid-bank heist. That's when I called the sheriff to report aerial trespass and started backing up every scrap of paperwork proving my land was mine. Deeds, plat maps, the whole lot. Still, I didn't expect real trouble. Not until the fourth letter showed up all caps, final warning. They threatened court property liens and my personal favorite, an in-person assessment by a so-called certified HOA compliance officer. They made it sound like the IRS was coming to count my fence posts. Well, I don't do well with threats. I left everything ready in a folder on the kitchen counter, turned on every camera, let out my 3 Belgian Malinois, and headed upstate to pick up feed. It was a hot day, air heavy with that Oklahoma stillness, the kind that makes you listen a little harder because you know something's brewing. Turns out while I was gone, the HOA got busy. My security footage caught the whole thing. 10:32 in the morning, a green SUV pulls up. Out steps Karen Hare, sprayed into a helmet fit for legal combat, with Linda Deputy Compliance Higgs at her side, and a pair of fresh-faced volunteers trailing behind. Karen whipped out a bolt cutter, snapped my padlock like she was storming the beaches, and strutted in as if she owned the place. I'll give them this. They had guts, but they didn't have brains. They ignored every warning sign, wandered right through the pasture, snapping photos, and before you know it, one of the new kids steps in a heap of manure and howls like he's been shot. My dogs, smart, disciplined, kept their distance, just circling, making sure nobody tried anything funny. Still, that was enough to spook the whole bunch. Then came the pit. See, at the edge of my property is an old stormwater catch, concrete sunken, and about as inviting as a porta potty in July. Big sign says gray water containment, do not enter. Naturally, Karen and Linda barrel straight for it when the dogs close in, tear open the hatch, and splash therein up to their waists in Oklahoma's finest semi-liquid compost. The 2 volunteers bail soaked as the Malinois calmly escort them back to the gate. I came back the next evening to find the place quiet, but the system logs told a different story. Movement alerts video of the HOA parade, and finally 3 figures huddled in the pit, looking like extras from a bad zombie movie. When I went out to check, the smell hit me first. There they were, Karen, Linda, and 1 trembling volunteer, too weak to climb out phone's dead pride deader. I lowered a rope, called EMS, and made sure everything was caught on tape. Deputy Mullins, bless him, watched the footage and just shook his head. "You can't make this up," he said. "No, sir," I replied, "but you can sure step in it." After the medics hosed them down and the sheriff had his say, I figured it'd be over. But Karen, she doesn't know when to quit. Monday, code enforcement's at my gate poking around at her complaint. Unsafe pit, dangerous dogs, you name it. I walk them through, show them the logs, the locks, the paperwork. By the end, they look embarrassed to have wasted my morning. Full compliance, they say, shaking my hand. But Karen goes next level. By Thursday, I've got a lawsuit from her attorney, claims of trauma, hazardous animals, unlawful detention. I call my lawyer Daniel. He reads the suit, laughs, and says, let's bury him. I hand over the footage, the letters, everything. We countersue for trespass, vandalism, and fraud. Judge throws out Karen's case in record time, grants our motion, and forwards it to the county prosecutor. The look on Karen's face when the judge tells her she's got no standing, that right there worth every hassle. But she's not done yet. Suddenly I'm getting anonymous flyers, dangerous rancher biohazard pits, wild dogs printed on cheap paper, stuffed in every mailbox for miles. A neighbor sends me screenshots from the HOA's Facebook group. Karen's in there playing the victim, whipping folks up like it's the Alamo. Doesn't matter, most folks see through it, but a few true believers start driving by, peeking over the fence. I get proactive. Call in a surveyor friend to remap my boundaries, upgrade my cameras, file for an injunction. Daniel, sharp as ever, digs through the HOA's files and finds a smoking gun, a forged expansion amendment that Karen's been using to shake down her own neighbors for extra dues. She even funneled HOA money into her husband's contracting business, the same guy who supplied the bolt cutters for my gate. County prosecutor's office gets involved, issues warrants. Local news runs with it, HOA president under fire for fake expansion and fecal scandal. Karen's world unravels, her allies bail her accounts, freeze, and her husband loses his contractor's license. But the real kicker, turns out she hired a convicted felon as security consultant, the same muscle who tried to intimidate me off my own land. Folks from the neighborhood come by apologizing for believing the rumors, some nearly in tears. One former board member hands over old emails showing Karen threatening and bribing anyone who questioned her. By now, Karen's facing a pile of charges: trespass, fraud, conspiracy, forgery. Her name's Mud. The HOA dissolves itself. The neighborhood votes to manage things the old-fashioned way. And my ranch is more secure than ever. New cameras, reinforced gates, and a VIP pool access sign by the pit that makes me chuckle every time I pass it. But it's not just about fences and lawsuits. There's a lesson here, and it didn't hit me until the dust started to settle. Some people, when handed a sliver of power, will burn the whole field just to prove they own it. You can't reason with that kind of blind ambition. The only way to win is to let them dig their own hole, then hold up a mirror so everyone can see how deep it goes. Last I heard, Karen skipped town, her house up for sale, her husband filing for divorce. The land's healed, the pit's become a local landmark. And the only mail I get these days is from folks thanking me for standing up when nobody else would. One sent a cartoon of Karen in the pit, titled Karen's Last Stand. I framed it, hung it in the mudroom. It's been 6 months now. The wind still whistles through the pines, the dogs still guard the fence, and I've got peace in my bones I haven't felt in years. The county used Karen's case to go after a whole string of corrupt HOAs. Turns out she was just the most colorful cockroach in the nest. If there's one thing I'd ask you after all this, where do we draw the line between authority and freedom? When does a neighbor's concern turn into control? Tell me if you think I went too far or not far enough. And if you've ever tangled with an HOA or had to stand your ground against the Karen next door, I want to hear it. Justice, I've learned, is like that old pit. It's messy, smells bad while you're in it, but once you crawl out and hose yourself off, the air's never tasted sweeter.